This is Clean Life, and I'm Sophia, leading you into discipline, devotion, and real transformation. Here with me is our radiologist, Nancy,
Hello, everyone.
along with the rest of the Clean Life team, and together we are guiding you through the 2026 The Whole Story Bible Study Reading Challenge. Go ahead and subscribe and tap the notification bell so you stay consistent all year long. Tonight we're reading 2 Samuel 9 and 10. 2 Samuel 9, the benefit of God's kindness locating you because his covenant lifts you into places your brokenness could never block. 2 Samuel 10, the benefit of God fighting for you when you're misunderstood because his strength answers battles your intentions never cause. Let's dive in and grow together chapter by chapter. All right, Clean Life, how you doing this morning? Hallelujah. Hope all is well. All is well with you this morning, Nancy?
Yes, and I hope all is well with everyone else.
All right, so I'm going to just give you a few moments to get your Bible so you can just follow online. All right. Okay, so I'm going to just dive into 2 Samuel chapter 9. David and Mephibosheth. David asked, is there anyone still left of the house of Saul to whom I can show kindness for Jonathan's sake? All right, so guys, I want to give you a reflection back to when David and Jonathan was in the field. And David was telling Jonathan that his father Saul was after him, trying to kill him. But Jonathan felt as if that it wasn't true because his father always ran by him anything that he was going to do, big or small. But then they said they would test out Saul to see if it was true. But Jonathan told David that let's make a covenant that when you become king, that you will no means cast out my family lineage, that you allow it to go on. And so remember, Ishabel, he became king over Israel because he was next in line in King Saul's lineage, and David became king over Judah. Okay, but what took place was Ishabel had two people that was on his side, ended up killing two of his men, ended up killing him. So then that's when David ended up beginning to get reign over Israel because he was able to become king because Saul next of kin was dead, okay, which was his son Ishabel. All right, so then I'm gonna take you back to verse 1 after he's asking was anybody still left, because it come back to his memory about him making a covenant with his friend Jonathan about remember us when you come king. Okay, so he's king now. And so then he asked, now there was a servant of Saul's household named Ziba. They summoned him to appear before David, and the king said to him, are you Ziba? So he asked him, are you Ziba, to make sure that he was who he was. He said, at your service, he replied. So he was like, yes, it is I, basically. And, what do you need? He said, the king asked, is there no one still alive from the house of Saul to whom I can show God's kindness? Okay. Now, take in mind, remember it's now that when the next up king become king, he's supposed to kill off any existing descendants from the prior king lineage. Okay, but right here you're gonna see that he asked him to show God's kindness. He wants to show God's grace. Okay, so Ziba answered the king, there is still a son of Jonathan. He is lame in both feet. And then I want to let you know what happened to Jonathan. Jonathan was 5 years old, and his nurse was carrying him. And they got news that Jonathan and Saul had got murdered. They got killed in the battle. So the fact that they were supposed to be killed because King David was finna be next in line, the lady thought it was best to run from him and try to hide him. But when she ran with him, she dropped him, right? And when she dropped him, he became lame in both of his feet. So that's how he became lame. Okay. And then he said, "Where is he?" The king asked. Ziba answered, "He is at the house of Maker's son of Emil in Lolabar." Okay. And so as you can see right here, he didn't even have his own home. Okay. So right here to me, this was God bringing him back into his identity. Okay. When he went to go look for him, he was truly out of his identity. He didn't even have his own home. You remember, he come from royalty. He didn't have his own home. All right. And he was living with somebody else. And then he was living in Lolabar. Lolabar was a remote, desolate place. Okay. Where nothing, it was barren. Nothing was happening there. Okay. And then it says, so King David had him brought from Lodabar, from the house of Maker, son of Emil. So David went and sought out for him to come out of Lodabar to come to him. Okay, then when Mephibosheth, son of Jonathan, the son of Saul, came to David, he bowed down to pay him honor. Okay, so he came and paid him homage. He bowed down to him because that's, what you do when you come in the presence of a king, you bow down. And David said, Mephibosheth, he said, "At your service," he replied. He said, "Don't be afraid," because you got to think about it. He thinking about everything that, that he was told that he was going to die. That if, King David got wind of him being alive, he was going to die. And David said to him, so he said, "Don't be afraid, for I will surely show you kindness for the sake of your father Jonathan." Right? And he said, "Look, he basically said, I'm not gonna kill you. I'm gonna show you grace today. Like, I know what you've been told. I know what the law is that you're supposed to kill, but I want to show you grace. I want to show you the Father's grace." Okay. And he said, "And I'm doing this because I made a covenant with your father." He said, "I will restore to you all the land that belonged to your grandfather Saul, and you will always eat at my table." All right. So basically, he's giving him back his identity and he putting him back in the flow. Okay. But he told him, "You also gonna eat at my table." Okay. Mephibosheth bowed down and said, "What is your servant that you should notice a dead dog like me?" Okay, so during that time, guys, not like how it is now, dogs did not live in the master's house. They lived outside of the master's house. And so he called himself a dead dog because he felt like he had been living like a dead dog, because his mentality that they have given him, he's dead. He's dead. If King David get wind of he alive, he's a dead dog. So he was feeling like, hey, I'm here right now and you supposed to be going to kill me, because that's what he been told all his life, right? Because you got to think about it. He was lame from a babe all the way up to now as an adult, and he been living outside his mean. He been living outside his mean, like a dog, and he been living having a dead mentality. He been living in a dead place, which was Lodabar. All right. And so he was like, "Oh, you noticing a dead dog like me?" Okay. And if you notice, Saul is not going to pay him no mind, because even though he have told him these things, when you're so used to thinking a certain way, you know what I'm saying? You don't grasp it just then when somebody tell you. It take a little time. But you know what? David said, "Then the king summoned Ziba, Saul's steward, and said to him, I have given your master's grandson everything that belonged to Saul and his family." So he said, "Okay, you don't believe me? I'm going to show you." So he called on Ziba. He said, "Look," he said, "everything that belonged to Saul and his family, I'm restoring it back to him. I'm giving him back all his belongings, his identity, his everything, his land, everything, the servants, everything. He said, you and your sons and your servants are to farm the land for him and bring in the crops so that your master's grandson may be provided for. Okay. So he told them exactly what you have to do. Okay. So he basically done gave them back a job too. So he giving them provision. All right. Because he telling them this is all the things you're gonna do for Mephibosheth. You and your sons. Okay. Everybody in your household. You get what I'm saying? They're gonna have to be servants for Mephibosheth. All right, so just think about how he been just living in Lodabar, living in somebody else's home. You get what I'm saying? Living basically as a fugitive because he's afraid. And then someone just come to him, the king just come to him and tell him, guess what? This is yours. This was your family. I'm gonna restore it back to you. And guess what? And you're gonna be able to sit at my table forever. All right. And then it said, and Mephibosheth, grandson of your master, will always eat at my table. Now Ziba had 15 sons and 20 servants. That's 35 servants that's finna work for him. You want to add anything, Nancy?
No, I'm looking at the blessing, how God blessed him where he had been in a low place. And all of a sudden, just out of the blue, God just suddenly, put him back in position.
And give him back his identity, right? Because
Yeah.
he was royalty.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
he was.
I was just wondering, did that ever happen to anybody else in life? Like with people nowadays, where they like told a family member something, and then years later they show up and you know what I'm saying, like look out for that family or whatever. That's
Yes.
something.
And yes, and it is true because it made me think about how God always have a ram in the bush.
Yeah.
Regardless of your family, you may have a bad person in the family, but God always have somebody in the family that's gonna keep his commandment and that's gonna keep covenant with him. And the thing they're gonna do is they're gonna pray over the existing family for God to remember them. Get what I'm saying? Like you say, it's always God always got a ram in the bush. Get what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
Saul might didn't obey everything that God, get what I'm saying, had asked him to do. But here comes Jonathan, his son. Get what I'm saying? Going against his father because he knew what was right in the sight of God. And he knew that the people chose his father, but God chose David. Right? And so, like you said, and if it's always somebody in your family, get what I'm saying, that's gonna keep God commandments. Get what I'm saying? People that's before us that prayed over us. You know that song, somebody prayed for me, had me on their mind, took a
Yeah.
little time and prayed for me. Because this is what happened when it came to Mephibosheth. Somebody prayed for him, somebody left a covenant with him. Remember me when you become king, right? By no means to wipe out my family lineage. Don't wipe us out. Remember, keep my family lineage before God. And that's what happened. And that's what God is doing for us as well.
Amen.
Because somebody prayed for us. We might not know who it was, right?
Mm.
But somebody did, right? Okay.
Amen.
And then it said, okay, now Ziba had, like I said, that's 35 servants. Then Ziba said to the king, your servant will do whatever my lord the king commands his servants to do. You know, he's happy, right? He happy they back in business. You get what I'm saying? He said, I do whatever. You know what I'm saying? You say do, we ready, we would do it. And so Mephibosheth ate at David's table like one of the king's sons. Okay, so he sat down and he ate at the table. Look, he done put out the decree for everything that happened. He went and sat down and he ate. That's what God wants us to do. Once he go ahead and give the decree and tell us what's ours, we better receive it. It's best for us to receive it right then. Okay?
Mm.
Go ahead and receive it because it's yours, okay? Because his identity was stolen. God restored back the years that the Pomeranian, the Kangaroo stole from him. He restored back his identity. He restored back the land that was, that was his and his family lineage. He restored back everything. And that's what God want to do for us even right now today, okay? Because when he called his name Mephibosheth, he called his name. God calling your name. Clean life. God calling your name because he wants you to answer the call, okay? Because
Mm.
he got good things in store for us. Okay, so Mephibosheth had a young son named Micah, and all the members of Ziba's household were servant of Mephibosheth. Okay, so he had a young son. His name was Micah, and then it said all. You see what it said? It said all the members of Ziba's household was servants of Mephibosheth, and Mephibosheth lived in Jerusalem because he always ate at the king's table. He was lame in both feet. All right. So God put him in the flow. He was in the flow, and then he put him in overflow. Overflow is why? Because he always ate at the king's table. So God put him in overflow. He put him in the flow back into his life to get back his life flowing, get back into his identity to be who he was. And guess what? Because you got to think about it. He always ate at the king's table, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He ate. And then he had all the servants that tilled the ground. And so he had plenty. Get what I'm saying? He only had one son. Mephibosheth had so much that he was in overflow. And that's what God want to do for us. He want to put us in overflow. Okay. We got to always dine and eat at the king's table. We can't keep eating out there, eating what the world, get what I'm saying? What the world got to offer. No, we need to eat what God is offering, because what God offer is good. He said it's good. Okay. And then it said he was lame in both feet. And guys, when they put that stamp on it, it let me know that guess what? It doesn't matter what kind of ailments you got, what kind of disabilities what kind of sickness, disease. It doesn't matter whatever kind of oppression, suppression, depression. When God called your name and he called you out of Lodabar, he's talking to you and telling you, you can eat at my table. It don't matter what's wrong with you, right? Because if you see, they noted it again that he was lame in both feet, letting us know that it doesn't matter what's wrong with us. It don't matter where we come from. You know what I'm saying? God is going to show us grace. God want to show us grace today. The law said you supposed to die. The law said you wasn't enough. You ain't enough, right? That's what the law said you supposed to get killed. Because that's what was supposed to happen to him. The law stated that he was supposed to die. King David was supposed to kill off all the other descendants left. That's what the law say. The law say you're not good enough. That's what the world states. You're not good enough. You won't bring up in the right family. You know what I'm saying? You oppressed, you depressed, you suppressed. You get what I'm saying? You know, you got sickness to this, you got this. But God is saying, no, I come for you to have life and have life more abundantly. And God wants to restore today our identity in him, right? He wants to restore the fact that guess what? We are the righteousness of God. We are the sons of God, and it doesn't matter what's wrong with us. Okay, it don't matter where we been, what we done. When he called your name, when he say Nancy, that means come forth. Guess what? Cause he ready to restore you. When he says Sequoia, come forth. Right? All we need is what do we need to say? Your servant, we here. But this ain't that's what he said.
Yeah.
Your servant, we hear. I hear you. I speak, Lord. We hear you, right? And we ready to keep those commandments. We ready to do what you have called us to do. Because guess what? He ready to put us in the flow. He ready to put us in the overflow. Because we're going to eat at the king. We're going to dine at the King David for the rest of our lives. This is forever. This is throughout eternity. When we give our life to the Lord, when we say I do, all right, it's forever. Right? It's no turning back. It's forever. And if you in a dark place right now, if you in Lodabar, you in a dry place, you in a place where you don't know how to see your way out. Remember, God always got a ram in the bush. Somebody has prayed for you. All right?
Amen.
Somebody prophesied for you. Somebody spoke over your life and they said good things and they spoke good things. And guess what? God chose you. Look at this. Look at God. God chose you. He chose you for a time such as this. If you on this live and you listen to this live and you reading the word, how we know? Because we got the word right here to back up that God chose us. You're not on this, you're not online reading this word for nothing. Get what I'm saying? It ain't by chance. You get what I'm saying? Because God, we deal with a prepared God. And he knew on this day that you will be here reading the word of God, him calling your name, put your name in the place for Mephibosheth. Put your name there. And guess what? God calling us out of Lodabar. God calling us out of that lonely place. All right. God calling us out of that weak place where we think that, oh, we're not strong enough. We're not wise enough. We're not smart enough. Okay. All right. We don't hang with the best of them. We don't hang with the elite. God said, I don't care about no titles. I don't care about none of that. I want to know, how is Nancy doing? I want to call Nancy out. I want to call Kena out. I want to call her family out. I want to call Clean Life out today, out of Lodabar, out of that dry and desolate place in your life, right? And we may have some highs, but go ahead and let God get them lows. Because everybody got something low in there. Like, let God get that part. Get what I'm saying? Don't hide behind the highs. Let him get the low parts out of your life because he's ready to pull you out of them. Okay? He got your back. And guess what? Look what he did. He restored his identity. He gave him land. He gave him servants. And then he let him sit at his table forever. He in the overflow. That's what God doing today for us. He put us in the overflow. All right. Okay, Nancy, you got anything else you want to add to this?
No, that was good, Kena. No.
All right. So we're going to move on to Samuel 10. All right.
Thank you, Jesus.
All right, Nancy. She ready? Can she see it?
I don't see it. I'm still at the end.
Oh.
Okay, thank you. 2 Samuel 10. David defeats the Ammonites. In the course of time, the king of the Ammonites died, and his son Hanun succeeded him as king. David thought, I will show kindness to Hanun, son of Nahash, just as his father showed kindness to me. So David sent a delegation to express his sympathy to Hanun concerning his father. When David's men came to the land of the Ammonites' commander said to Hanun, their lord, do you think David is honoring your father by sending envoys to you to express sympathy? Hasn't David sent them to you only to explore the city and spy it out? So Hanun seized David's envoys, shaved off half of each man's beard, cut off their garments at the buttocks, and sent them away. And there's a conflict that starts with Hanun's misinterpretation of David's kindness. Instead of receiving David's kind gesture, Hanun assumes that he's a threat because that's what he's been told. Mm-hmm. And what we can learn from that is when we filter everything through suspicion, we can turn peace into war.
Wow.
So basically, that's what he get ready to do, is turn peace into war. Because then what did he do? On top of that, he turned around and he humiliated David's men. Just because he listened to wrong advice. That made him decide that he was going to humiliate David and his men. That is so sad. So Hanun sees David and shave off. When David was told about this, he sent messengers to meet the men, but they were greatly humiliated. The king said, Stay at Jericho till your beard has grown, and then come back. Now, how can a kind gesture turn into somebody wanting to humiliate you because you're just trying to be kind? Because somebody decided to give somebody a word that was not the truth. Now, we just got through reading about Mephibosheth, and you was talking about how he had been told that if he was seen, that David was going to unalive him. And he
Mm-hmm.
found out that that was not the truth. And that's the same difference here. This
Yeah,
man was being told something that's not the truth, but he believed in it. But
yeah.
his ending is not going to end up like Mephibosheth's ending.
Mm.
No, it's not. When the Ammonites realized they had become obnoxious to David, they hired 20,000 Aramean foot soldiers from Beth Rehob and Zobah, as well as the king of Makkah was 1,000 men, and also 12,000 men from Tob. Now they done declared all out war with David. David ain't even sent nobody to them yet, but they're getting prepared to fight. So on hearing this, David sent Joab out with the entire army of fighting men. Now, David did what he did because of what they did, right?
Mm-hmm.
To me, they started the war
Mm-hmm.
by doing all the things that they did. And a lot of times, we as people, we don't understand that things that we do is the reason things come at us. We may think that we ain't did nothing wrong, but we'll be finding ourselves in the midst of doing something wrong and having things come up against us that we never thought that should have even happened. And it said, on hearing this, David sent Joab out with the entire army of fighting men. The Ammonites came out and drew up in battle formation at the entrance of their city gate, while the Arameans of Zobah and Rehob and the men of Tob and Makkah were by themselves in the open country. So all of them, they preparing war over David's kind gesture. He was just trying to be nice. And somebody put out a word that wasn't the truth. And it was believed. And so they find themselves now getting ready to go into battle with Israelite, really, with the God's people.
Mm-hmm.
When they could have been friends with them. Because that was what David was doing. He was putting out his hand towards friendship. To show kindness. He put the rest of the men under the command of Abishai, his brother, and deployed them against the Ammonites. Joab said, if the Arameans are too strong for me, then you are to come to my rescue. But if the Ammonites are too strong for you, then I will come to your rescue. So he's saying we're going to have each other's back. Be strong and let us fight bravely for our people and the cities of our God. The Lord will do what is good in his sight. And he's saying we're depending on God. We ain't depending on how many men we got. We got each other's back. But first and foremost, we letting God go ahead of us because we know God already got our back, right? So that's what the Lord will do what is good in his sight. And he know that David didn't do nothing wrong. So there was no reason for them to really even be in that battle. But he know this is where they are. So they're going to have to move forward. Then Joab and the troops with him advanced to fight the Arameans, and they fled before him. When the Ammonites realized that the Arameans were fleeing, they fled before Abishai and went inside the city. So Joab returned from fighting the Ammonites and came to Jerusalem. After Arameans saw that they had been routed by Israel, they regrouped. Hadadezer had Arameans bought from beyond the Euphrates River. They went to Helam with Shobak, the commander of Hadadezer's army, leading them. When David was told of this, he gathered all Israel, crossed the Jordan, and went to Helam. The Arameans formed their battle lines to meet David and fought against him. But they fled before Israel, and David killed. Now listen at this. Out of a misunderstanding, David killed 700 of their charioteers and 40,000 of their foot soldiers. He also struck down Shobak, the commander of their army, and he died there. Look at all happened from a misunderstanding. Look at all these people's lives that were lost from a misunderstanding. When all the kings who were vassals of Hadadezer saw that they had been routed by Israel, they made peace with the Israelites and became subject to them. So the Arameans were afraid to help the Ammonites anymore. Now look at what happened. They ended up becoming subject to the Israelites, whereas
Yeah.
all David was doing was trying to give a hand to them and walk with them, not
Hmm.
fight against them.
Yeah. And I
That's
know. And what came to me is the higher people become hirelings, because if you can see that they went on David them side after they saw how David them were killing all them men, because they hired them people. They went and hired the best people to try to go against God, but it don't matter who you hire.
I know, but that was to me that was the part that kind of got to me, that it was just a misunderstanding.
Yes, it
And
was.
because somebody said something that was not the truth. And then you got to think about, when God put you in positions of authority, you got to go see God. You can't just listen to what people say. Because more or less what he did is he listened to somebody. And these were people of God also. These were not people that were not God-fearing people. But evidently they didn't go seek God before they made the decision to go up against David and to like embarrass his men and stuff.
And the thing was, if you notice what it said, that his father had showed kindness to him, and it probably when he was a fugitive, you
Yeah.
know, his father showed kindness, and why would you go against what your father, him and his father relationship? You know what I'm saying? To me, I felt like people knew David's track record, right? His track record, that David was a kind person, and if you did anything to help him, he was going to give it back to you. When he got on his feet, he became king or whatever, he was going to make sure, like you said, give him a hand of we reconciliation, we good. You know what I'm saying? He's going to make sure it. That he was a person that showed action. He didn't just say it with his mouth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That appeared to be like a love language that he had.
And to
But
me,
to me, I'm gonna be honest with you. What I saw throughout the whole thing, they just wanted to beat him because he could beat people. You know what I'm saying? He was known to be the person that can slay
like
people.
the streets.
Yes, he could
People
slay.
kill in the street and then you can fight good. Everybody keep coming up you trying to beat you to show
Yeah,
they're better than you or bigger than you.
yeah, the show, because good and well that if his father showed kindness, he knew he shouldn't have turned around and went against David and try to make it appear like he was finna do something wrong. Like you said, it was just they wanted to try to get the upper hand over David, but they wasn't getting the upper hand over David. They missed the key, that it was God. It wasn't David. David was just being obedient, and that's how he was able to win the battles, because he was being obedient. And we have to do the same thing. It's not us. We can never get it in our head to think, oh, it's me. Oh, no, it's God. You know what I'm saying? Us being obedient, and following God's plan for our life. And that's how we win the battle. Okay?
Yeah, and Second
It-
Samuel 10 teaches us that pride and bad assumptions create conflict. But
yeah.
courage, wisdom, and trust in God bring victory when opposition surrounds us. Like when all those people came up against him, they thought they were gonna win.
Yeah, they did. So they went and got the best of the best. And then they got, look at how they said all those kings against the one king. But look how it said all those kings went on David's side after, he had beat all those people. Like they went and got, he said, when all the kings who were vassals of Hadazer saw that they had been, they made peace with him, with the Israelites. They made peace with them.
Well, because really, in all actuality, they really had no reason to be having war with them.
Right. And God was like, that's how help do. They'll lead the flock and go on the other side. That's how they do. That's why you can't go out and get hirelings, hired help, right? Because they don't got the vision. You know what I'm saying? They don't got the vision.
Mhm.
And you think they're gonna be loyal to you, and you know what I'm saying? And they could see that, hey, because they supposed to be loyal to the end. But when you go out and try to get all this, prestige. You get what I'm saying? Prestige to make yourself look good and think you're gonna. No, it don't work that way. The glitz and the glam, you can't do all that. You know what I'm saying? You got to stay loyal to what you know. You get what I'm saying? That's loyal to you. You got to make sure you keep loyal people.
Well, and to me, I felt like because of the fact the person was in authority, that they should not have just listened to what was being said to them.
No.
Because when you're in a position of authority, you can't just listen to everything that people come to you with. You just cannot, especially if you know it's going to bring you into war. It's kind of like people saying about choosing battles.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like
God.
choosing battles to fight. Like you don't try to fight every battle.
Mm-mm.
So if David sent kind words to him, it should not matter what that person came and said to him. He should have been like, well, David sent kind words to me. I'm
Yeah.
going to make sure and find out everything is well. I'm going to God about this.
Yeah. I'm gonna try the spirit and see if it's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. But instead, he just went along with what the person said and did what he did to try to humiliate David. And I would think that by now, from us reading in First Samuel up to now, that people would know that David is a man of God. And they can't just come to him any kind of way. And just because he has a kind heart, and that's what people mess up nowadays. Just because you have a kind heart, it don't mean that God is not with you. It does not mean that God is not going to fight your battle. That's why when somebody had said to me they hate the heart that they had, they wish they didn't have the heart that they had because they got a good heart. And I tell them, look, don't let nobody change you from who God made you or who you are. Be who you are. Just learn how to, like you say, put up boundaries. Like David said, okay, I was nice, but now I got to fight you. And I'm gonna fight you. I ain't gonna sit here with my hands, behind my back, sitting on my hands. I'm gonna be willing to do what I need to do, even though I have got a good heart.
Saying choose your battles, and was that anything else you needed to say?
No.
Okay, all right. So basically, she was saying that we need to choose our battles before we just try to just go into war because we don't know if these people stronger than us, right? We don't know if these people stronger than us. And number one, we need to make sure that we go to God first. Like she was saying, we need to go to God first to make sure because all he was doing was trying to pay homage. That is, his father had died and he just wanted to just, give him a kind word, just show him some kindness. You never know what he was gonna do. I mean, he didn't give him a chance, right? So, I mean, he just said no. He trying to spy out and try to come after us, but everybody's not after you, right? God got some people, you know what I'm saying, that is really his people. And like you said, we need to be just careful about jumping the gun about trying to make it all about something bad all the time. All right, guys, and that could be for me, you, anybody. That's enough for all of us. Okay. So at this point, okay, of the session, sorry guys, what happened with our computer? We sorry about that. We need to read Romans 10, verse 9 to give your life to the Lord. All right, this is a session to read to give your life to the Lord. And I hope, guys, today you got something out of this. I hope it was a teachable moment experience for you.
Romans 10, verse 9. If you declare with your mouth Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life.
Come as you are, and God do the cleaning up.
All right, come as you are, and God will do the cleaning up. All right. Okay. All right, clean life. we gonna end on that note. All right, guys, we're gonna end on that note. All right, guys, always witness for God. Make sure. All right, we got a lot going on. Make sure you always be a witness for the Lord and continue to read on the word with us. We're done with reading on Second Samuel, the reading part. We're gonna go back and expound, and I will still be coming on, and I'm gonna go into either First Chronicles or Second Chronicles, because that's a reference to the book of Samuel, and it's gonna give you a little bit more expansion of what's going on in the book of Samuel, but it's a reference, okay? It's reference scripture. So I'm gonna go into either First Chronicles or Second Chronicles. I'm gonna look it up to make sure I'm on the right path. I'm gonna be in prayer about it. All right. So goodbye, Clean Life. We appreciate your time. Share the inspiration by following us on Facebook and subscribing to Clean Life with Sequoia on YouTube. Hold close the promise of Romans 10 verse 9 and know that you're surrounded by our love and God's love. And goodbye, and have a prosperous weekend. We mean have a prosperous life. All right, guys. I hope all is well with you today. And thank you. I'm sorry for the inconvenience. And y'all got anything y'all want to say?
Goodbye, Clean Line.
Make sure you comment down below and subscribe.
All right. Okay. All right. We'll see you next time. Peace. We love you.
Peace.